What's happening? Andy here. I'm joined today by Andre D'Urbano, fresh back from Drupa. How are you, Andre?
I'm doing well. I'm actually still in Europe.
Yes.
I have different meetings here, but it's been interesting.
Yes, so you did say that you are not actually at Drupa right now, and you're not back from Drupa, but you are one of the other RISO offices in, you said the UK, England, London?
I'm in the UK. I've got a few meetings set up with France as well on RISO business. But yeah,
All right. Well, RISO, global company. Why don't we start with that? Tell us who is RISO, and then maybe a little bit about what you do here in the States for them.
sure. Well, so this was my first Drupa. RISO has been to Drupa, oh gosh, for forever, I guess. I'm vice president of sales for the North American operation. But it was fascinating to meet my global counterparts at RISO from the UK, from France, Germany, Spain. It's interesting to share notes and from a global perspective, it gives you a much bigger picture of what's going on with the industry, with our product. So that's always a lot of fun. Now you've been to Drupa?
I've been to three Drupas. I did not go to this one or the last one, but I was a lot younger when I started going to them. And wow, what an incredible adventure of a show that was. It's what, 2 weeks long, right? I mean, you were there for a week.
I was there last Monday to this past Sunday. So I worked 6, 7 days.
Yeah,
And it's still going on this week till this upcoming Friday.
it's
It's
incredible.
almost
And
two
and
full weeks.
tens of thousands of people come through there, if not more, from all over the world, right? Um, Dozens of manufacturers. Just the type of it's a production print show. What would you call? How would you define the show? It's commercial
It
production.
it's definitely, production printing, but from every aspect you can imagine. There's some 15 to 18 halls. I was telling somebody the other day that I promised them I'd go see them in hall number 5, and I was in hall number 8. And I told the people at my booth, I just need about 20 minutes or so. I'm going to leave the booth.
Nope.
So if somebody cover me, I'll be back. I just need to go say hi to somebody. An hour and 20 minutes later, I finally made it back. That's the time it took just to get from hall 8 to hall number 5 and, chat with that individual for about 10 minutes or so and then trek it all the way back. It is just a massive, massive place in Dusseldorf. I wish I had an aerial overview of it. It's tough to even grasp the scope. I don't know if you got that feeling when you were there on your
Overwhelming.
opportunities.
Overwhelming. It was like you said, it's in different buildings, right? And I had a similar experience where I had appointments that I thought were going to be right around the corner. And it took me so long to get there. I had to reschedule many of them. That was my first Drupa. The other thing I learned was you could tell the difference between the Americans back then and the Europeans very easily by the shoes. And the Americans all had, I myself included, the business shoes, the old school leather wingtip type. And I thought I thought I was so professional, and everybody else was looking at, I was dying by the end of it. Dying. It was, my feet hurt so bad. So my first show, I had the wrong shoes, but I learned, right? So there was a reason everybody was running around wearing suits and sneakers. And I imagine nowadays with well, the way fashion is, obviously we're talking about it on our show. Uh, it was probably a little more comfortable. Hopefully you had the right footwear, because man, did you check your steps on that show? I mean, we're talking about an awful lot, but I can't overstate the size of the layout of this place. It's like multiple Javits centers all over. And some of the companies have their own Javits center size booth, right? I mean, a booth is actually a building. I
Yeah.
mentioned some
Well,
of them. We don't
this
need to talk
was
about who they were, but I mean, just incredible that they do that. So,
this
what
was
did you think?
definitely a 20,000 steps a day event.
Yes, yes.
And unfortunately, you talk
Exhausting.
about fashion. We're not here to talk about fashion, but as far as sneakers go today, you can get some pretty nice sneakers that fit well with suits, and everybody was properly attired. Rest assured, their feet were taken care of. Nobody was wearing the patent leather shoes.
It's rough.
Um,
It's rough. You can't do that anymore. I don't know.
yeah,
It's the biggest. When you say 20,000 steps a day, I am not doubting you, and I don't think there's any exaggeration to that. I completely believe that. It was the most grueling, exhausting show I'd gone to
Yeah.
uh, ever, and,
And,
and and I've done it a few times. It's amazing. Just the big iron that you see there. It makes some of the stuff there makes your gear look small, and you've
oh
got
yeah,
big gear.
no kidding. And you're right about the manufacturers. HP had their own massive hall. Canon did not have a booth. Canon had a village. It literally had their own ecosystem. It was absolutely massive. It was beautiful. I know this. It was right next to ours, and we got to benefit from some of the flow of traffic that was coming out of that Canon booth. They had some exciting products they were showing there, including a lot of inkjet, so that's good. It spilled into the RISO booth, and those people got to talk more inkjet. Just a really good experience. Our booth in particular, of course, the Valezus was front and center, and that segment of the inkjet market, that two to $300,000 range, is really really opened up. What was somewhat of an anomaly even 2 3 years ago, today has become one of the hotter segments of the inkjet market. So that's really exciting, and
And let me
everybody.
stop you there. Let's be clear. This show is, I mean, there's laser there, right? But this show is
Oh yeah,
dominated by ink. I remember when it was kind of turning the corner years ago. Um, and by now, with what's come out over the last 5 10 years between yourself and just all the other manufacturers, it's got to be just an all ink show at this point for the most part.
it is. It's all about ink, and it's ink at so many different levels. If you can print on it, the industry is finding ways to print on it, and more often than not, it's ink. And we need to get into packaging, because that's a big subject matter as well. But it is definitely today an ink-based show. Um, like as far as the RISO booth is concerned, we had introductions. We introduced several new products. We've always been popular with education
Yep.
and institutional business, and those organizations print a lot of books. And so we've teamed up with a Dutch organization called SDD. That is a finishing device that'll go at the end of a RISO. We introduced it here, and that will do booklets. Plockmatic is another device that we are working with now. We introduced that piece of equipment connected to a RISO for larger books, and a square fold as well. We also, here in Europe, RISO teamed up with Pitney Bowes to create a tandem device that where the RISO is printing the variable data, inserting or inputting it into the Pitney Bowes device, which then takes over and will fold the document, insert it into an envelope of various sizes, and this at a crazy speed of some 12,000 an hour. So we have that piece of technology in our booth, and we'll probably bring that into the US at some point. So those were three new pieces of technology. Inkjet is kind of, you've got inkjet at both ends of the spectrum. In a lot of ways, you've got inkjet with the big name players looking to, pull the offset, the jobs being printed on offset off of offset and onto inkjet. And so you have that game being played on that end of the spectrum, and it's huge. There are
Mhm.
billions of impressions to collect coming off of offset and onto inkjet. Ours is a little different. We're looking to get the black and white toner world that is stuck with black and white because they cannot afford to get into color toner. But there's this great in between. And so RISO will step in, and other organizations at our level will step in to grab those black and white copies, convert them to color. And when we do that, when a print shop with RISO converts a black and white customer to RISO inkjet color, they double, sometimes triple their profits. And so for all those asking, why would anybody move from that sharp, crisp image that is toner baked on the top of that sheet of paper to an inkjet image that blends into that sheet of paper and is more of a flat image. Why would anybody do that? Profit. Print shops do it because it's much more profitable. And again, for an end user, the print buyer that is looking to convert their black and white jobs, and you really have to today, it's tough just printing in black and white, but you want to do it within a certain budget, inkjet is the answer. And so it was interesting to speak to my global colleagues, and we're kind of trading notes on the Valezus and talking about which Valezus has the most volume out there. We came to learn that Spain had a customer in a span of about 3 years that has 60 million impressions on it. And then RISO France stepped in and said, well, wait a minute, we've got a customer at 90 million impressions on a Valezus. And then I stepped in, and we have a customer in the US that has 5 Valezus. The oldest one is about 40 months old, and it has 120 million impressions on it. And
USA, USA.
yeah, well, listen,
That's
we
amazing,
love
though.
our
The
print.
volume on any of those, almost 100 million with every one of them, some of them over. So they're working, is what you're saying.
Oh, big time. I mean, this customer we have in the US, not only does he have the one, again, 40 months, 120 million, you do the math on that, it's about 3 million a month, but they've got 4 other Valezus. All total, here's what's interesting is all total, they have in the past, 40 months or so printed 440 million impressions on 5 Valezus, and they've spent about $230,000 on parts. Now, when you do the math on that, it's 0.00055. That's 3 zeros. Most salespeople I know can't even pronounce that number.
I can't.
And if I'm not mistaken, I think it's 5/10,000th of a cent.
Wow.
Is what 3 zeros in front of that number will get you. So the
What
point
are they
is,
printing 440 million pages? What do they do? What are they doing
it
on these
is
Rizos?
it is in large part healthcare and
There you go.
insurance. Though those are the two big ones, right? Especially the financial sector. They keep the print industry alive in America. Europe's a little different, right? Europe, a lot more people are getting their documents, sent to their phone, their documents sent to their PC electronically, basically. The US loves its cars. Europe loves its commuter trains and so on. And the US loves its paper. And when I say US, I mean Canada as well. In North America, we love our paper much more than the rest of the world does. So I don't know if that's a good thing. It is a good thing for our industry in North America. So I'm not complaining.
It is. It is. And you know what? I think there's still something to, we've gotten to a point where if it's printed, there's more value to it now. I just feel like, if I'm holding it in my hand and then I can put it somewhere, even you can't see my office looks so clean right now, but if you could see this side, there's some piles and, and most of them, it's paper, right? It's the important things that I need to remember to do or that I need to get to. And whether it was mailed to me or whether it's the 1 or 2 things I printed, over the last few days, I don't print much, but when I print it, it's something that's important. There's still paper involved. There's still printing
Yep.
involved. And I just think once it hits a printer, once you print it, it becomes physical, right? I mean, I have a million billion probably. I don't even know how many electronic documents and just trying to find them all, keep them all organized. But I know where my paper is, right? It's only in one of a few places. It's in a pile on my desk, maybe in a garbage can next to my desk or in a
Yeah.
drawer, right? I mean, you just know where to find it. And it's just so critical things. I'm sure you print out important documents at home still. So yeah, I think there's still room for it. I would wonder, I'd really be interested to see research with the differences in the U.S. market and Europe with what they're not sending anymore. I mean, even I mentioned I had that surgery. The amount of mail that I'm getting, mostly electronic, but still there's some printed stuff. The important stuff gets printed. The guidebook on what to do post surgery they could have given me electronic. There was a QR code to get the expanded guidebook, but they physically handed me something so that I would have something be able to, you know what I mean? So
Yes.
it's still
And
important.
our mailboxes have never been more full.
Oh my gosh. I agree.
And with an aging population as well, again, that's a lot of printing. Not everybody has
So how do you
access
play into
to.
that with mailing? I mean, is that a sweet spot for RISO too? Because I would imagine with stuff that, sorry to say, but a lot of it, at least in my house, majority goes right from the mailbox into the garbage. But you do see it for a second. You do get that maybe that bond with that document that shows you, or the postcard or whatever it is. You see a brand, you see a logo, and that's kind of what they want. But how much of is that something that you play into?
Mailing is a huge revenue generator, direct mail is. People are more, I mean, well, look at your emails, right? How many do you simply discard, don't even look at? Um, there's just too much of it. And so now, now we have filters set up. We're just that marketing is not getting through. It will get through on direct mail. And even with young people, right? I think of this segment of the market that is more likely to act on direct mail. It is young people. They will get something, they will see something on paper come in through direct mail. And if it is something of interest, they will act on it only because it's made it through that firewall. And direct mail doesn't have the type of firewall that this laptop
And
that I'm
they're
looking at
tying it in.
has.
They're tying it in with online, right? I mean, now that you say that, it just really made me think about my own what's filling up my mailbox. And it's literally, whenever I buy something from certain places online, now
Right?
they have my address, and the next thing you know, I get a catalog from them. And I never buy anything from that catalog, but I might wind up looking on that in that catalog, and then next thing you know, I'm on their website looking to see what else they have, and it worked, right? I may not have
Yeah.
bought the items, the 10 things that I thought that they wanted me to see, but if I come back to that website because they keep peppering me with brochures, or I get a lot of magazines, just these, and they go, cigar magazines and clothing magazines, and just guys, just whatever it is that I'm into, whatever you buy, you get
Yeah.
marketing material, and it's effective. It does bring you back to the website. It really does. So, and
Yeah.
this is something that people are printing on Rissos. Yes.
100%. And not only that, but we need to talk about packaging
Yeah.
because as popular as the Valezus has become, in fact, just in the past 2 months alone, we put 10 of them out there. One customer alone purchased four, and these Valezus go out in large part because of our ability. We're one of the rare inkjet companies that manufactures oil-based ink, and I say rare. We may be in many cases the only one. Okay, I don't know of any other. Let's put it that way. That's what's keeping me from saying we're the only one. But certainly, as far as our industry, printing on paper, we're the only oil-based ink device, and it is a huge advantage because we don't need a dryer, we don't need a decurler, we don't need vents and exhaust systems. You just plug this thing in, and as I mentioned earlier, multiple millions of copies later, it just prints and prints, and that's why we sell so many of these. But we've now taken that RISO ink and applying it to the packaging industry. And so while RISO was in hall number 8, over in hall number 5, I believe it was our packaging division. RISO now has a device. It's not an actual printer, but just a device that will contain RISO print heads and RISO filled with RISO oil-based ink that I just talked about, and it will print onto boxes. So, thank you, Amazon, for reinventing the corrugated
Oh
board and
my goodness,
packaging
what an
industry
opportunity there.
and driving and the need and driving printing up in that segment. So RISO is now part of that world. And we introduced this device, the RISO in Interglide is what it's called. And so look for more. This is at its infancy. We had several prospects looking at the technology. We had there's I don't know if I can mention their name over in Maine, but there's a large organization that does a lot of camping equipment and a lot of clothing, and they purchased this massive device that will package boxes, cellophane wrap it, and there's a RISO integrated into that technology. And so we're already part of packaging devices where, our product is brought in because of, again, the oil-based, no heat, the fact that it can do so many millions of copies. We get integrated into these systems. But now we're actually printing ourselves rather than just printing the statement or invoice, which is being blended into the packaged goods. Like when you get a new shirt at home and you've got your statement or invoice in there. Now we're actually printing on the box the name, the logo of the company, sometimes the product, the whatever it is that is in that box, whether it's a shirt, pair of shorts, some goods. So that's a whole new exciting field for RISO. So for all those people who are on the outside looking in, going, printing, really? Is that a thing? Is printing not going down? You should have been a Drupa. Printing is it. I don't know. It may be on the downside by a few percentage points year over year, but you wouldn't know it judging from this show and the things that the industry are printing on. And again, where RISO is concerned, now printing onto corrugated board. It's exciting times.
It sounds it. It sounds like you guys had are still having in the process of an amazing show, multiple booths. I didn't realize that RISO had another group that was into packaging, and I bet you saw some serious packaging at that show. That was one of the things that I saw that I really didn't know very much about, when I started going to those shows, and I still don't know a ton about packaging, to be honest. But just seeing what they could do, the stuff coming off those machines, the way they were just building boxes essentially, and the imaging on them, and it was just amazing, right? And from companies I never even knew existed. So this has been great. I appreciate you coming on and taking the time to give us an update. Any last things from the show, from Europe, from London, wherever you are, you want
Well,
to
I
wrap up
guess
with?
if you're looking to, you said you're going to make the next Drupa. What is it? Every 4 years?
4 years, yeah.
Yeah,
Generally,
it's kind of like the
unless
Olympics.
there's a pandemic, it's every 4 years, right?
That's for sure. Right. The pandemic threw the last one in for a loop. But yeah, it's kind of like the Olympics of our industry.
It really is.
Yeah. And you know what? Those people who work the event for the 2 full weeks, they are troopers. Some of the Italian salespeople, one of the fellows, from Riso Italia, is there for the full 2 weeks. I don't know how he's going to manage this week.
A
I
lot
mean,
of
he was
coffee, a
dead
lot
up
of
to
lot of
Sunday.
espresso.
Yeah, probably. No, a lot of fun, and looking forward to the next one and all the good leads that this one is going to generate over the next 24 months.
Well, I'm sure it'll generate a bunch, and hopefully, maybe we'll go to the next one and we'll see you over there. I'm sure I'll be running into you sooner. And thanks so much for stopping by. It was great
Well,
seeing
listen,
you.
we're headed for Printing United in Las Vegas in September, so make sure
We'll
you
see
show
you
up to that
there.
one.
All right,
Yeah.
perfect. At the latest. All right.
Okay.
Well, thanks so much for stopping by, and we'll talk soon. Thanks, Andre.
Thank you, Andy.
Bye bye.